Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Brian Good here on this Tuesday. Looking at the snowboard, we are keeping an eye on just a couple of issues. Relatively quiet on the wintry side of things. We got a chance for some freezing rain to the north of Louisville. We'll talk about that for Friday. And there's a system moving in on the 19th of next week. It looks to be one of those upper level lows that could have enough cold air, dynamic cooling kind of a scenario where we could get some of that snow to mix in with the rain, but I don't see it being a big deal at all. Most of it will be rain. So, way things are looking, January is likely to trend more onto the side of a below normal snowfall for sure. All right, so let's talk about today real quick. We've got these spotty, what we call warm air advection showers moving through. The warm fronts passed through this morning. We've been climbing for a while. Now we've been holding steady about the mid-40s. As of last check, we're 45 now here in town. Cold fronts to our west. This is what we call the warm sector, and it's this zone where the winds are the strongest. That's why the wind advisories have been posted all the way through the evening. And there could be some lightning and thunder as the cold front gets into our area later on this afternoon. Some lightning and thunder is possible. We're not in the outlook for anything severe, but this just indicates the potential for lightning and thunder right across portions of wave country through the evening commute, and it's about 8 or 9 o'clock. After that, we do have a warming trend that'll come back into play, but not until late tomorrow into Thursday. Another warm front moves in, another windy period coming our way, and then it's a strong front that's going to become more east-west orient as we head into Friday, and that's the one we got to watch for anything frozen to our north, and then we're back into another warmer flow again and windy by the time we head into the holiday for Monday. But the Friday systems we're watching with that front moving in Thursday night with a band of rain. Again, it'll become more horizontal, parallel with I-64. To the south of it, south winds, warm winds. To the north of it, strong high pressure. Anywhere about 1040 to about 1050 or so has been the average I'm seeing on the pressures for that high to the north. That's a strong high. So it is going to battle a strong high to the south as well. Both of these are going to be battling out who's going to be, it's like a tug of war kind of game here, and wave country is right in the middle of the game. But which one's going to win? And usually the one to the south will win, but we'll play it by ear and see how this plays out, only because cold air can easily sneak in underneath these warm air shields. I mean, the warm flow to the south may certainly win out, but so can the cold air. They both may overlap together, and we've got to watch to see where that happens. At the moment, it looks like the best chance for that to happen will be north of Louisville into Indiana, and even that is starting to look to be brief, a brief window, and that could be more in the form of freezing rain. And here's a good setup for it. Here's the sounding from the NAM model. This is looking again atmosphere up to about where the planes fly, and your red line is a temperature line. It's what's most important. Green line is your moisture line. When they're close together, you're saturated. When they're far apart, you're dry. And this is going to be about I would say close to sunrise, close to that on Friday. Notice here's your warm line, or your freezing line I should say, 0 degrees Celsius right here, this dotted line. And notice that we're cold aloft, as normally the case, that we warm. We go right of the 0 degree line, we warm to rain, and then at the last minute, there's a drop to go back again left of the freezing line, and that is the point where we could see that cold air being undercut right into that warm layer and can provide a brief period of freezing rain. And this is for the Madison, Indiana area. We don't have sensors, by the way, and maps like this for every location in wave country, but the one to the just to our north is when we look at a lot for Madison, and it does indicate the potential anyway for brief freezing rain. I will say though too, it's not overly saturated. It's showing that it'll be very, very light, whatever does fall. Of course, freezing drizzle is just as bad as freezing rain, but still looks very, very light. In Louisville, the sounding is, if you look carefully, it's hard to see it, a little more saturated, but the red line is actually right to the right of the 0, barely. So about 33, 34. If you take the sounding verbatim, so therefore it gives us all rain. Temperature, even a few degrees, is a big difference, and also the placement of the front will determine how saturated we are, determine if anything will fall from the sky, but overall trends look to be so marginal, and after being warm just before that, it's really going to be a very, very iffy deal, and I don't seem to be in a major travel issue either, even if we did get freezing rain. For those around Missouri, though, Illinois, Oklahoma and Kansas, even parts of Indiana, a bigger deal looks to be at play for you guys up in that area. Looking ahead, down the road here for the rest of January, yes, the indices overall favor a colder pattern for us. I mean, the PNA is trying to get back into positive territory. The NAO is trying to get back into negative territory down the road, nothing dramatic. But this is what's killing us. It's the EPO is going strongly positive, and that is usually a warm signal for our area when the EPO does go into positive range, so kind of a heads up on that. The long range Euro came out, and real quick, when you look at this, I know it's hard to read, but this is a timeline here from January into about late February. And we see these yellows. This tells us the warm spells we potentially could have. These are the different model ideas. But you see warmer spells all the way through about the last week of January. Then you see a cold core. The very end of January to the first 10 days of February, cold shots. And then we get back into some more warm spells later in the month of February. But it looks to be right in through here. The late January, early February period could feature some cold shots. And it also is featuring at least some chances for some snow showing up. So I think we're going to have to wait until then to see anything appreciable. Real quick, the signal analysis from Rossby Waves. I thought this was interesting. It's done pretty good overall. It does show the fast flow, ups and downs, more ups than anything for the rest of January. Then you see a lot of noise here till the end of the month and beginning of February. And then it's showing something also too toward the end of February. We'll see how that plays out. But what's interesting is this chart did really well. And now looking at temperature profile, these are surface temperatures going out. When you look into the model ideas for the beginning of February, they have certainly trended colder. So confidence is at least growing that the end of January and early February will be our next core of winter. We'll see how it plays out.